again?
Oh, absolutely. I want to see it as often as possible. I'm totally fascinated. I definitely want to see it again because every time I see it, I'm reminded of how you just don't see, you can't get the impact of it looking at it in any kind of reproduction. And you know, when I first showed it to my students in my seminar, they're like, "Well, this looks like a cartoon," you know, and I you know, to try to convey what it's like to stand in front of it and to move along with it and how it comes to life. But then, and it makes you think about originally seeing it and how people must have moved along to see it, and they must have had somebody to talking with them about what they were seeing while they were going along, because the Latin's pretty simple, but for a lot of people looking at it, they wouldn't be able to read, and they certainly wouldn't be able to read Latin, so they would need some kind of narrator, so to speak, in looking at the original piece. And maybe, as I said before, that's why the inscriptions are so terse, because they just convey the essential character, location, maybe a little bit about action, but somebody would have been filling that in for people possibly in the period. So, but yes, I would definitely.
You, like, we know that. We see works of our friends on Instagram, and we think we've seen it, and we haven't. We haven't experienced being in the room with it, is it this big? Is it this big? Does it fill a room? And what does it feel like? And one of the really important things that makes me want to keep making work is about that tactility and what it feels like. Not to really touch, but to feel. You can sense the presence.
And you can see on the original work, you know, you can see the stitching. You can see where later people have tried to follow the needle holes in restoring parts of it. You can see tears in it, which were repaired, maybe in the period. I mean, so you do get this sense of it, almost as if it's constantly being made while you're looking at it. I mean, it's just, I've seen a lot of medieval art, but this one had an impact on me that few things have.
Can I ask a question? Am I allowed to ask a question?
Oh, yeah.
I hope to try to bring together what you've both been talking about in asking this question. I hope it's not too long. But what strikes me about the tapestry is, of course, abundance of images, but also the text, which is very loud. I mean, you as the reader are forced to string things together and to find where the letters are, and I like how interfectus is cut across two lines in a place where his knees are being cut off. But it's something that is very visually busy, but it also is a loud thing, because you want to speak out the Latin, whether you were looking at this in the 11th century or today. And when I go from looking at the tapestry and think about the presentation of this very raucous world that it shows us, violent but also full of voices speaking and shouting and contesting each other, and then go to your work, it's absent any of the buildings, the people, the conflict, the text, the voices, and it seems very quiet to me. And the word I keep going back to when I think about the two things together in your work is primordial. That it seems like it's this world that is totally absent any of all of the complications of modern life, including speaking and text. And I mean, it has water, but no trees, things that can be cultivated. It has a natural element in the sky, which of course is not something that humanity can cultivate. And then it has, of course, all of these waves. It reminds me of what Augustine says about the beginning of the world and land rising up and out of the water. And I'm wondering if that is kind of what you're thinking, is taking this complicated world and by contrast pulling all of the complications out of it and presenting something that is very early and very, in some senses, at least for you or for all of us, ideal.
That's so lovely. Really.
She's good, isn't she?
One of the reasons why you show your work is to learn about it and absorb it, but also to have people give ideas. And you've put a positive spin on something that a good friend of mine said to me at one point. I was explaining it, what I was trying to do with it, and she said, "You mean you want to get rid of all the people?" And so I don't really mean to want to get rid of all the people, but think of yourself sitting on a sandy beach, looking out at a huge lake or the ocean. That brings a peace to me that is so wonderful. And so I kind of was thinking of what you're thinking of, but in a much more abstract and less specifically primordial way.
That actually makes me think about it, coming at it from a step further on, in conjunction with the rest of the works in the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Amy's talking about a world before all these complicating factors, but you could also see it as the world beginning anew after all these complicated factors have destroyed everything. And then the world starts anew, even before trees, when what you have is land and water, and that's where it begins.
Nice. Yeah. Well, in a lot of the work that I make, I think of the author of The Little Prince, who wrote Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and he wrote that something is not finished when nothing more can be added. It's finished when nothing more can be taken away. So that's kind of where I go.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?